Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And today we've got a few things to unpack, even though the transfer rumor mill has taken a bit of a nap this afternoon. Maybe that's a good sign, maybe it's just the calm before the storm. The quiet hum before the roar of summer business. Or maybe I'm just trying to manifest some chaos to spice things up. Either way, while we wait for the big moves to kick off, there's still some proper football chat to dig into. Now, first on the agenda, and this is something that flew a bit under the radar for most folk, we're talking Champions League. A bit of news broke over in Germany that might not change everything for Celtic right away, but it's something to keep an eye on because it signals UEFA's willingness to keep tweaking the competition even after just 1 year of the new format. So here's what's happening. The German publication Bild is reporting that the Champions League will undergo another rule adjustment starting from next season. And we're not talking about small cosmetic stuff here. These are structural changes to how the knockout phase is handled. We've barely had a chance to get used to the league-style group phase with 36 teams instead of the traditional 32. And already we're seeing UEFA shift the goalposts again. This new tweak focuses on who gets to play the second leg at home during the knockout rounds. You see, under the current setup, only the round of 16 granted that advantage to the top 8 clubs from the league phase, meaning those who top the table after all 8 games. From next season onward, that perk will now extend into the quarterfinals and semifinals as well. Basically, if you finish among the top 8 in that big initial table, you'll get to play the second leg of your knockout tie at home for as long as you're in it. Now, look for Celtic. This doesn't exactly change the world. Let's be honest. We'd have to make a quarterfinal for this to even begin to affect us, and that's a dream more than a plan at this stage. But it's worth keeping in mind, because if this is the new model for the Champions League, you've got to think something similar might trickle down to the Europa League as well. And that's a competition where Celtic could be next season depending on how the qualifiers go. There's no guarantee we even get into the Champions League proper, so all eyes will be on those playoff rounds to see where we land. Back to the rule change though, and here's where it gets spicy. According to Bild, there was quite a bit of backlash from some of the bigger clubs this past season. Arsenal, for example, weren't too pleased. They finished 3rd in the league phase, which put them a full 8 spots ahead of Real Madrid. And yet when the quarterfinals rolled around, they had to play the second leg away at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid, obviously a team that lives and breathes knockout football under the lights in their own backyard. Despite Arsenal going through, in the end they were fuming about the disadvantage. Same thing happened to Barcelona. They topped Inter in the standings after the league phase, but still had to go to Milan for the second leg. And that tie, as we all saw, didn't end well for them. Some in the Spanish press even blamed that fixture order for costing them a place in the final. Because let's face it, playing that decisive game away from home, it makes a difference. The energy, the crowd, the comfort, it all adds up. So what? UEFA's doing now is leveling the field just a wee bit more in favor of those who perform best in their opening rounds. Finish in the top 8. You earn the right to take the second leg back home. It's a move towards fairness, at least in theory. Although, of course, the richer clubs are the ones most likely to benefit because they tend to top the table anyway. Still, for a club like Celtic, it's not completely irrelevant. Imagine one day, even if it's 5-10 years down the line, we find ourselves punching above our weight, making the quarterfinals, finishing higher in the table than our opponent, and yet being forced to play the second leg away from home. That's the kind of injustice this rule seeks to prevent. So fair play to UEFA for that. But that's not the end of the story. If you scroll further down the Bild article, there's even more talk about additional changes UEFA are considering. And some of these ideas, they're actually quite exciting. One of them in particular caught my attention. The potential scrapping of extra time in the knockout rounds in favor of going straight to penalties. Now, that's something I can get behind. Think about it. How many times do we sit through 30 minutes of cagey, tired, no-risk football during extra time, only for the match to end in a shootout anyway? It happens more often than not. By that point, both teams are knackered. Legs are heavy, minds are foggy, and neither side wants to make a mistake. It becomes a waiting game. So why not skip the waiting and get to the drama? From an entertainment point of view, penalties deliver. Straight after the final whistle at 90 minutes, bang onto the spot kicks. The adrenaline, the chaos, the emotion, that's what fans live for. And look, it's not just about spectacle. It could actually work in Celtic's favor. Let me paint a wee hypothetical for you. Think back to that match against Bayern Munich. Remember when Alphonso Davies broke our hearts with the last kick of the ball? Let's say he doesn't score. Let's say it ends level at 90. Do we survive 30 more minutes against one of the most dominant squads in world football? Probably not. The extra time would have been torture. But penalties, that's a coin toss. That's hope. That's opportunity. I know it's not a perfect system. Sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you'll get stung. But for the neutral fan, and for clubs like Celtic that often go into European ties as underdogs, it levels the playing field just a bit more. And that to me is a good thing. Now, before we get carried away, nothing's been confirmed on that front just yet. UEFA's still in the discussion phase, weighing options, seeing what sticks. But the fact that these conversations are happening tells you something. The Champions League isn't a finished product. Far from it. It's evolving. And as it does, we've got to pay attention to the direction it's heading in, because at some point those changes will come knocking at Celtic's door. Now then, switching gears a wee bit, let's talk preseason. Because Celtic have just officially confirmed part of their summer schedule, and it includes a wee adventure to Italy that already has the fans buzzing. Aye, the rumors we heard floating around last week have turned out to be spot on. Celtic will be heading to Lake Como in July to take part in a tournament now officially titled the Como Cup. It'll run between the 23rd and the 27th of July. And honestly, it sounds like the kind of thing that could turn out to be both a solid test on the pitch and a bit of a jolly off it as well. Imagine the scenes, sun football and the green and white in the Italian summer. Beautiful stuff. The club made the announcement through their official social channels earlier this afternoon. And while we're still waiting for all the nitty-gritty details, the general structure of the tournament seems clear enough. 4 teams including Celtic, Ajax from the Netherlands, Como FC as the hosts, and Al Ahly from Saudi Arabia, which if you've been keeping tabs on global football lately, you'll know is a side with a bit of pedigree. So it's not just a kickabout with local sides. This is a decent level of opposition, and it'll serve as a great test for the boys before the competitive season kicks off. Now, we don't yet know the exact match dates or which semifinal will be drawn into, but by the looks of things, the format will be straight up knockouts. 2 semis, then a final, and a third place playoff. Should be plenty of action over the span of a few days. And most importantly, it gives Brendan Rodgers and the lads some real competitive match fitness in a proper football setting. That's something you can't always simulate in training sessions. At Lennoxtown, it also gives us supporters a bit of football to sink our teeth into during the quiet months. And while it's a friendly tournament at the end of the day, there's still a bit of silverware on the line. The Como Cup, it's a wee thing, nothing major in the grand scheme, but let's be honest, lifting any trophy feels good. It sets the tone, it builds momentum. Remember what happened last summer when Celtic traveled to the States. We faced proper sides, Manchester City, Chelsea, DC United, and those games were brilliant indicators of what was to come. You could see the tactical ideas forming the fine shape of the squad coming together. So here's hoping the trip to Italy gives us that same kind of platform. And let's be real, facing a team like Ajax in preseason, that's a big fixture. They might not be the force they once were, but there's still plenty of history and quality in that badge. Facing them gives our players a proper test, especially for some of the younger boys who might be trying to stake their claim for more minutes this season. Same goes for Al Ahly, who've got some technically gifted players and a strong winning culture in African football. Even Como, as the hosts, will want to put on a show in front of their home support. So it's shaping up to be more than just a holiday in the sun. It's real preparation. From a fan perspective, the location is a dream. Lake Como is one of the most picturesque spots in all of Europe. And if you're lucky enough to have a bit saved up, it might just be the perfect excuse for a cheeky summer trip. Football food, a few pints by the water. You can't go wrong with that. Personally, already regretting not putting a bit more aside for the summer budget, because that trip's looking more and more tempting by the minute. But beyond the sun and spectacle, there's serious work to be done. This preseason could be crucial for shaping what this Celtic team looks like heading into the new campaign. There are still question marks around the squad. We know there are likely to be incomings and outgoings in the transfer market. Some players will be returning from loan spells, others will be pushing for a move. And preseason is where the gaffer gets to see exactly what he's working with. It's not just about fitness, it's about making statements, staking claims, and earning a spot in the plans for the year ahead. Speaking of players looking to move on, let's talk about Luis Palma for a moment. Reports coming out of Honduras are suggesting that despite him returning to Celtic for the start of preseason, both the club and the player are quietly working on an exit plan. Now, that's not exactly a bombshell. We've seen the writing on the wall for a while. Palma had flashes of brilliance, sure, but struggled for consistency and never quite nailed down a starting role under Rodgers, according to local sources in Honduras. The player's entourage is already exploring both loan and permanent transfer options for this summer window. The priority for Palma is clear. He wants regular playing time to boost his chances of featuring for the Honduras national team in the World Cup qualifiers for 2026. And you can't really blame him for that. Every player wants to represent their country on the biggest stage, and sitting on the bench at Celtic Park isn't going to get him there. Apparently there's interest from a few clubs in Greece where Palma's already made a bit of a name for himself in the past. If that's where he ends up, it would keep him in a competitive league closer to home and probably with a bigger role than he'd have here. Nothing's done and dusted yet, but it looks very unlikely that he'll still be pulling on the green and white hoops come the start of the season. Whether it's a permanent move or another loan remains to be seen, but the winds of change are definitely blowing. And while we're on the topic of departures, one that's already been confirmed is Scott Bain. The goalkeeper has officially joined Falkirk on a one-year deal following his release from Celtic. It might not be a blockbuster transfer, but it's worth a mention. Bain was around the club for a good chunk of years. Always the consummate professional, never made a fuss, and stepped in when needed. Now he gets a fresh start at a club where he might see more regular minutes. All the best to him. He deserves it. So there you have it. It's been a quiet one in terms of bombshell transfers or breaking news, but that doesn't mean there's nothing going on. Between UEFA's rule tweaks in the Champions League, our upcoming trip to Italy for the Como Cup, and the early rumblings of movement in and out of the Celtic squad, things are starting to simmer. You can feel it building. The anticipation, the sense that the season ahead is going to bring with it new challenges and hopefully new highs. Now then, we'll be live later tonight on the channel for a wee Q&A diving into all of this in a bit more detail. If you've got thoughts, predictions, or just want to chat Celtic, make sure to join in. But until then, take care of yourself, enjoy the sun if you've got any, and we'll see you back here soon enough. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Rumors swirling around Celtic Park has sparked quite the stir this week, as whispers grow louder that Dyson Maeda could be set to leave the hoops in the coming transfer window. The Japanese forward, Kent for his relentless work rate and blistering pace, is reportedly attracting interest for a club south of the border and even further afield. While no official statement has been released by the club or the players' representatives, sources close to the situation hint at potential movement, suggesting that Maeda might be considering his next step. The 26-year-old has been a key figure in Brendan Rodgers' squad, playing a pivotal role in Celtic's domestic success and making his mark in European fixtures. Yet, as is often the case in the modern game, ambition and opportunity often walk hand in hand. Speculation suggests that several English Premier League sides are keen to secure Maeda's signature, admiring his versatility to play both on the wing and through the middle. Some say scouts have been regulars at Parkhead, watching closely as the Japanese international continues to impress with his trademark high press and defensive contribution. Qualities highly prized in the fast-paced English game, adding fuel. The Fire reports from Japan indicate that Maeda himself is contemplating a move, eager to test himself against new challenges and in potentially more competitive environments. Yet, there remains a strong bond at Celtic, where he has forged a guide relationship with teammates and the support and faithful who had come to admire his dedication and humility. Brendan Rodgers, when asked about possible departures in a recent press conference, kept his cards close to his chest, acknowledging that interest in Celtic players is inevitable given their quality, but insisting that the club remains focused on strengthening rather than losing key personnel. As the summer window approaches, only time will tell if these rumors solidify into concrete offers or if they'll fade like money transfer tales afford them. For new, Celtic fans will be hoping that Maid's chant continues to echo through paradise for some time yet, though the rumble of speculation is unlikely to quieten anytime soon. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.